Hey guys, on this week's video, I'm gonna be doing a very special and rare car. We have the Aston Martin DBS 770 Ultimate Coupe right here next to me. Aston Martin actually did this car as a last hurrah of the DBS before they came out with the Vanquish. Now, of course, we know that the Vanquish has already come out, but this was basically tuned to give it more performance, and you know, they gave it a different look as well. We'll be going over the vehicle to show you guys what sort of differences are on the exterior. The other differences that you might not see were basically a tuned suspension, a solid mounted steering wheel, additional horsepower as well. Unfortunately, I won't be able to drive it because this is inside of the actual showroom, but I'll be able to show you a little bit of the outside, a little bit on the inside, and then I'll be discussing a bit about the actual performance upgrades that they did for this Ultimate. They did 499 units worldwide, 300 of them being the coupes, one of them being this one. And of course, because it was a rare vehicle and, you know, only limited production, each and every one of them is different. So guys, as always, we're gonna be doing the exterior, the interior, a little bit of the trunk, and then of course, we're gonna talk about a bit of the upgrades and the performance that we did, that Aston Martin did on the 770 Ultimate. So 770 Ultimate, sorry. So guys, as always, let's strap in and take a look. So jumping right into the exterior, guys, we get to see that the 770 Ultimate has somewhat of a different look on the front. Of course, we have the front grille. Now, the front grille on the 770 Ultimate, if you guys take a closer look, has sort of, let's take a look at it from this angle right here, has like these notches coming out of the grille itself. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera itself, but it's got a really nice 3D effect to it. And it's got not the typical, you know, veined grille that we typically see on Aston Martins. I really do enjoy this design on the Ultimate. This is more of a 3D type of finish, as you guys can see. Now, you guys see the fluorescent yellow accenting on the front lip spoiler. That's actually painted on. That's no joke, guys. And that's an additional option that I think comes with Q. Of course, we have the blacked out Aston Martin badge on the front, but most importantly, we get to see a massive opening here on the hood in the U-shape for additional cooling, alongside with the louvers on each side of the hood over the fenders. And that basically allows for better cooling of the engine itself, which is front mid mounted. I actually love these wheels. The only downside that I have to say about them is that it would be nightmare to clean them because of the gaps, all the holes that we see alongside the wheel. But it's a gorgeous, gorgeous wheel. It's got a very similar look to sort of like a honeycomb shape. But this is what we initially saw, or very similar to what we saw on the Aston Martin 1 Victor. Now we get to see the veined sort of side gills, but you also got to see that on the regular DBS. And part of the 770 Ultimate that we see on this particular example is the fact that you have carbon fiber mirror caps, and then the carbon fiber A-pillar that goes all the way to the back, as you guys will see, down to the rear haunch over here. And that goes alongside with the carbon fiber roof as well. So we have quite a bit of carbon fiber on this 770 Ultimate. DBS, which is an air curtain that goes through the B-pillar or the rear haunch over here, goes through it and then comes right outside into the rear wing over here. So it's a form of aerodynamic aid to keep the car nice and grounded. We do see the quad tailpipes. And then we do see a little bit of a difference here on the rear bottom portion with the rear diffuser alongside with the painted accenting in the bright yellow highlighting. You guys will see that all this is once again in carbon fiber as well. If you go a little bit further below, you guys can see that there are some fins, and the rear diffuser actually goes down pretty deep as well. And that helps in terms of aerodynamics as well, because this car goes up to very, very high speeds. So let's walk around the car and take one final look at it and see all the differences that this 7.7 Ultimate has alongside with these wheels. And then you guys will get to see also that we have the vented hood. So prior to the Vanquish coming out, this was the fastest production Aston Martin, which basically brought up the speed up to 211 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 mile per hour hustle of 3.2 seconds. That's no joke for such a large vehicle. So I'm going to show you guys really quickly the trunk of the 7.7 Ultimate. There's nothing different on the Ultimate than the regular DBS. You guys will see carbon fiber finishing on the interior panel right here. And then you will also see, if you guys remember, I spoke about when I was going over the exterior, that tunnel that brings the air all the way through the vehicle onto the exterior, onto the rear wing, and that's where it exits from. I'll show you guys on the screen the volume for the rear cargo area, the 770 Ultimate, but ultimately the rear trunk space is the exact same thing as on the regular DBS. And that's also soft close. So now under the bonnet of the Aston Martin DBS 770 Ultimate, we get to see the same powertrain, which is the 5.2 liter twin turbo V12. But in this iteration on the 770, horsepower bump up to 759 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. It is actually mated to the ZF built 8-speed transmission, so they actually beefed it up a little bit to handle some of the better shifting. They actually changed some of the logic for that. And then of course, we get to see that carbon fiber bonnet, which is one of the largest carbon fiber pieces that you'll see on any vehicle. It is absolutely enormous. And then of course you get to see some of the venting that you see from the exterior right here. So aside from that, this 770 Ultimate will do a top speed of 211 miles per hour, 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.2 seconds. On the convertible, it takes an extra 0.2 seconds up to 3.4, but that's still very, very fast. And then I'll put the fuel efficiency numbers if you actually care about that. And of course, yeah, you do get a beefier sort of cross-member brace, and that adds additional rigidity. So what they did in terms of improving the performance on the 770 Ultimate wasn't only under the bonnet, but they also improved the suspension. They did a beefier front cross member, like I said before, like right here, and rear under tray, which boosts overall torsional stiffness by 3%. And here on the front end, we see a overall lateral stiffness improvement of 25%. We also have a solid mounted steering column, which gives you better feel on the road. And then of course, we have adaptive dampers, which are specific to the 7.7 Ultimate. So when you put all those things together, the additional horsepower, the solid mounted steering, the suspension, and the additional stiffness and the rigidity, it gives you an overall better driving feel 770 Ultimate. And you guys will see from here that it is a front mid-mounted engine as well. Let me show you guys how this looks like from here. And then of course, I want to show you guys another nice little party trick, which we've seen on the DBS, which is, because this is carbon fiber and you don't want to slam it, they actually did do soft close bonnet. Look at this. So that's one. And then if I do it on the other one, you'll see it soft close. That's really cool. So here we have the secondary key. to the DBS 77 Ultimate. Why do I say it's a secondary? Because it doesn't have any of the glass on the top or anything like that. So it's a very plain key. It's all black plastic, gloss black. And then you guys will see that you have basic functionality, which include lock, unlock, and then your trunk opening over here as well. So nothing too special on the secondary key. This is what you probably will give your valet driver if you're courageous enough to give a 77 Ultimate to a valet driver. Now let's actually take a look inside and see how the inside looks like. So of course, like all Aston Martins, the doors open outwards and upwards, giving it like a swan type of opening. On the interior of the door cards, we get to see a bit of a design difference over here. I'm not sure if this is very different to the regular DBS, but we do have forged carbon over here on the inlays, but you do get that also on the regular DBS as well. And then you have a really nice yellow accenting that goes alongside with the accenting of the exterior of the vehicle. Nothing else is different on the 77 Ultimate for the interior in terms of space or functionality. A badge over here showing DBS 77 Ultimate, 1 of 300. And like I said before at the beginning of the video, they made 499 examples worldwide and 300 of them being coupes. So this is 1 of 300. Aside from that, the seating is the same as you get to see on a regular DBS. You get to see the embroidery DBS in that yellow accenting as well. And the other really cool thing that I like is you have this sort of belt type of accent on the middle armrest, but at the same time you get to see DBS 77 Ultimate to remind you that you're in a very rare and special vehicle as well. You have your regular seat controls on the middle tunnel, and then aluminum brake and gas pedal covered in rubber to keep you stuck onto on the pedal itself. And then of course you have your light switches alongside with your handbrake that is an electronic parking brake here on the side. Now let's take a look at the interior. So here in the interior, we get to see the regular sort of like squircle, squared off steering wheel. Nothing different once again for the 77 Ultimate. We do get to see carbon fiber shift paddles that are column mounted alongside with some of your controls. That's your drive mode controls, that's your suspension, and then you have other media controls alongside with your phone and then other type of functionalities as well. If we get into the gauge cluster also remains the same. Doesn't have anything different than a regular DBS, alongside with some of your additional functionalities. And then unfortunately, we have the old infotainment system on this. Aston Martin was well known before to not have the best technology in their vehicles prior to the new generation of Aston Martins, but the interior, as always, was top notch. We have this sort of waterfall type of design in the middle with your gear selector, your start stop button right here covered in glass in regular Aston Martin fashion. I do like some of these buttons over here at the bottom with your HVAC controls. And then this is a Mercedes-based infotainment system that has a touchpad right here and the rotary dial. So it gives you the ability to control the infotainment system, whether it's through the touchpad or the rotary dial as well. The other cool little thing as well is that you have this little button over here. That's not a window switch, believe it or not. Like in any other DBS, that's a switch to open up the middle compartment. So it's a little party trick. I think it's a little bit too much. No need for that. I think it just adds an extra factor of something else that could potentially break. So if the mechanism ends up breaking, then you have something else to worry about. And at the same time, you can't even access the middle compartment. So, but it is a little cool party trick. Aside from that, Very nice finishing. Aston Martin's known for its materials and premium finishes on the interior. Fit and finish, as always, is very nice. You have your Bang & Olufsen tweeters on each corner of the front dash, as you guys will see. And then you have your middle speaker right there as well. And then, of course, we get to see a roof liner that is really nicely finished. You have sort of like a stitched leather with, once again, that yellow accent line all the way back of the roof liner itself. In the rear, that continues with your accenting in the yellow finish that you get to see on the exterior. You have that middle subwoofer, another smaller seat. I'm not sure if this actually would fit regular adults. It would be good for kids, but aside from that, the interior of the 7.7 Ultimate doesn't have anything else that is different than a regular DBS. Ultimately, the 7.7 Ultimate does come nicely equipped, but if you want to feel the difference on a 770, it won't be on the interior, it'll be on the exterior and on the drive itself. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick overview of the Aston Martin DBS 770 Ultimate. Rare vehicle. You guys can check this one out at the Aston Martin of Orlando website. They do have it up for sale. It's an absolute stunner, to be honest with you guys. They did make some considerable changes to make it feel a little bit different on the road. Unfortunately, I didn't get to actually drive it, but at least from aesthetic perspective, it does have quite a bit of a difference to show the difference between a regular DBS and this particular model. So guys, as always, make sure to subscribe, follow me, comment below if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Make sure to check out any additional footage or content in the upcoming weeks. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.